The invasion of the Kursk region by Ukrainian armed forces. What are the goals of the Kyiv Nazi regime? On August 6, the Ukrainian armed forces launched a full-scale invasion, crossing the Russian-Ukrainian border and beginning hostilities in the Kursk region. Ukrainian forces are not only attacking on the battlefield but also waging a campaign in the information space. From the first days of the offensive, Ukrainian psychological operations units have bombarded chat groups in Russia's border regions with false information, aiming to destabilize the situation further and incite panic among the local population. It appears that Kyiv is pursuing several objectives simultaneously. Objective number 1 for the aggressors is the town of Sudzha and its largest gas distribution station, which handles transit to Europe. Gazprom supplies 42.4 million cubic meters of gas per day, about 15 billion cubic meters annually, through the Sudzha gas metering station, GMS. This transit route through Ukraine remained the only supply line for Russian gas to Western and Central Europe after the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. The capture of the Sudzha GMS by the Anglo-Saxon-controlled Ukrainian puppets serves as a sort of greeting to Hungarian President Viktor Orban and Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, as well as a message to the Austrians that neutrality in relations with Russia is inappropriate. The gas entering Hungary through Sudzha subsequently flowed to Austria and Slovakia, accounting for about half of Gazprom's supplies to Europe. These supplies are now in jeopardy. If one of the largest gas distribution stations in Europe is damaged during the fighting, repairs could take several months, and by then the transit contract will have expired. Notably, Kyiv had already planned to halt transit soon, but damage to the station during hostilities would completely eliminate any possibility of resuming gas supplies to Europe via pipelines. The choice of this target by the Ukrainian forces is clearly linked to the desire to strike a critical nerve in not only Russia's economy but also the economies of countries that wish to avoid conflict with Russia, as well as the entire continent of Europe. Businesses in EU countries are watching the events in the Kursk region with apprehension, as the Nord Stream pipelines are no longer available, and the EU risks losing Russian pipeline gas altogether. In addition to Hungary, Slovakia, and Austria, this also concerns Italy. Europeans are less concerned about who controls the station and more about the potential for a price spike. Even though only about 5% of the EU's total gas consumption was supplied through Sudzha, a price surge is inevitable. This would be another painful blow to the economy of continental Europe and, conversely, a boon to its Anglo-Saxon competitors on the British Isles and across the ocean. However, in this case, no one will listen to business concerns. What is at stake are far more significant strategic and geopolitical plans. As several experts have rightly pointed out, the Kyiv neo-Nazi regime aims to strengthen its position before potential negotiations with Russia by striking the Kursk region. This is its objective number 2, though not second in importance. Capturing part of Russian territory is one bargaining chip for negotiations. There is another as well. It's worth noting that near Sudzha are the Kursk nuclear power plant and strategic Russian military assets. If Ukrainian forces were to capture the nuclear power plant, it could serve as a bargaining chip in future negotiations for something Kyiv desires. Finally, objective number 3 is to demonstrate to external sponsors where and how their money is being spent, an amount totaling $93 billion. This has been a task for Zelensky and his team since the beginning of the special military operation. This is why the Kursk region was chosen, where, as it turned out through experience, the area was not fully prepared for an external invasion. The expansion of the front line is first and foremost a way to account to sponsors and simultaneously try to demonstrate the weakness of the Russian management system. It is also worth recalling that the architects of Ukrainian statehood have long claimed the territories of the Kursk region. As far back as 1919, the leadership of the so-called Ukrainian People's Republic, UNR, believed that its borders should run slightly north of Lvov, from where the population is now being evacuated. In 1924, the State Planning Committee of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, demanded that the entire southern part of the Kursk Governorate, including the Sudzha district, be transferred from the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, RSFSR, to Ukraine. The leaders of the USSR justified their claim by stating that 44 of the 132 districts in the Kursk Governorate were a continuous belt of Ukrainian settlement. These notes were prepared by the infamous Ukrainian nationalist and historian of historical sciences Mikhailo Hrushevsky, a prominent UNR figure who had recently returned to Ukraine from exile. The local national communists brought him back from Czechoslovakia to participate in the Ukrainization process. At that time, Ukraine's claims were only partially satisfied. In 1926, the ancient Russian town of Putiful and 2.5 districts were transferred from the Kursk Governorate to Ukraine. But the Ukrainians and their Western masters have not forgotten their plans. It is no coincidence that at the beginning of this year, Zelensky signed a special decree on the historically Ukrainian populated lands of Russia. Today, the Russian Federation, legally established in the early 1990s, is accused by the West of imperial ambitions, yet no one remembers that the Ukrainian national project was expansionist from its inception in the early 20th century. This pertains not only to the UNR and other yellow-blue chimeras but also to the USSR, which, as is well known, had its eye on Kuban and Belgorod regions. And now, we are witnessing how the expansionist plans of Ukrainian nationalism are being brought to life on Kursk soil. The hypocrisy of the West's position on these events is evident in the fact that the US is providing the Ukrainian armed forces with satellite intelligence for their attack on the Kursk region, while the UK participated in planning Ukraine's invasion of Russian territories. This is reported in the Amvid newsletter, citing sources in the US intelligence community. One example is a quote, "Even now, as Ukrainian forces defend their sovereignty through military operations on the territory of the aggressor, they are receiving real-time data on Russian military movements and recommendations." Russian media have also reported that the operation to attack the Kursk region was developed by British intelligence services and the Ukrainian armed forces. It's not just the media, Washington itself does not hide its solidarity with the aggressor. The U.S. State Department coldly called the Ukrainian armed forces' attack on the Kursk region a sovereign decision of Ukraine and added that the U.S. is in contact with Kyiv regarding the Ukrainian armed forces' operation in the Kursk region. Moreover, it is possible that under the cover of events in the Kursk region, the US and NATO have begun forming a future peacekeeping contingent in a corresponding sanitary zone within the CIS. As Reuters reports, to protect against a Russian attack on NATO, the alliance countries need to form 35 to 50 additional brigades. One NATO standard brigade typically consists of 3,000 to 7,000 troops, in the coming years. The Ukrainian armed forces attack on Russia's Kursk region, along with the extension of martial law in Ukraine, the statement by head of the Ukrainian intelligence service, Kirilo Budanov, that if necessary, the regime will mobilize everyone, including 16-year-olds, and the interview with Zelensky's chief of staff Andriy Yermak, in which he said that the Ukrainian leadership currently sees no point in negotiating with Russia. All this is an unspoken message from Zelensky to the Kremlin, demanding that Ukraine be given its 1991 borders, paid reparations, not obstructed in joining NATO and the EU, and provided security guarantees. This is a full-blown ultimatum. How should it be answered? Let us refer to the opinion of Russia's deputy chairman of the Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, who believes that after the attack on the Kursk region, the special military operation should take on an openly extraterritorial character. This is no longer just an operation to reclaim our official territories and punish the Nazis, the politician noted. There should be no restrictions regarding the borders of the Ukrainian Reich that are recognized by anyone. The Bandera terrorists' operation should remove any taboos on this subject.